Mag-start na ako. Ay, nag-refer na siya.
Recording, okay. So, good morning everyone. Today we're going to present a case study under the Enterobacteriaceae. So first, next slide daw.
Nag-show na?
Okay. So first is the case history. A 38-year-old man with history of secondary progressive multiple sclerosis, complicated by neurogenic bladder, requiring intermittent straight catheterization, presented with fevers, chills, and weakness. Clinical evaluation revealed hypotension and leukocytosis concerning for sepsis. His urinalysis was positive for 3 plus blood, 1 plus leukocyte esterase and nitrites. Urine was sent to our laboratory for culture and grew bacteria with lebelogram stain and colony morphology. So before we proceed deeper in the case study, let's first discuss the following terms. So first, so as what mentioned earlier, the patient has a multiple sclerosis. So what is multiple sclerosis? It is a potentially disabling disease of the brain and spinal cord. So in here, the immune system attacks the protective sheath, which is the myelin that covers the nerve fibers and causes communication problems between your brain and the rest of your body. And it is also mentioned that the patient had a neurogenic bladder. So neurogenic bladder is the name given to a number of urinary conditions in people who lack bladder control due to brain, spinal cord, or nerve problem. In this case, the patient has a multiple sclerosis. Next is the straight catheters. Straight catheters are small, hollow, flexible tubes that are used to empty urine from the bladder intermittently. When we say intermittently, hindi siya continuous. So straight catheters can be inserted through the urethra or through a surgical opening called stoma that connects the bladder to the outside of the body. Next. Next is the sepsis. So it is a potentially life-threatening condition caused by the body's response to an infection. So normally, our body releases chemicals into the bloodstream to fight off the pathogens or infections. But in here sa sepsis, yung mga chemicals na ginalist sa ating body is out of balance. So that triggers changes that can damage multiple organ systems. So as what was mentioned in our case study, yung patient is, yun siya, may possibility na magka-develop siya ng sepsis. So it is dangerous. Next is the urosepsis. Is a term used to describe a type of sepsis that is caused by an infection in the urinary tract from the word uro and then sepsis. It is a complication often caused by urinary tract infections that are not treated quickly or properly. So next.
So, for our biochemical identification and cultural characteristics of the bacteria, before I discuss the cultural characteristics, I want first to reiterate that in the laboratory, we have this process of testing the specimen. We have the pre-analytical process, and the post-analytical process. The pre-analytical process involves the specimen collection, um, patient identification, anything that goes before the testing of the specimen. In the analytical process, here we process or we test the specimen for certain microorganisms that may be present in the patient sample. And in the post-analytical process, this is where we release the results of the testing of the specimen. So in the analytical process for the microbiology laboratory, we have this process of identification. First is after obtaining the specimen from the patient and the specimen has been delivered into the laboratory, it is first stained in order to classify if the bacteria is a gram positive or a gram negative. After it has been stained, the specimen will be viewed under a microscope in order to classify it as a bacilli, a cocci, or a spirochete. And then after the specimen has been viewed under a microscope, we can choose the proper culture media to grow our to grow the desired specimen. So here in culturing, our aim is to identify the genus or the family of the said microorganism. After we have the culture media, we can observe here the colony morphology in order to classify it by its genus or its family. One example is the bacteria E. coli, which has a very significant green metallic sheen on an EMB agar. After the culturing, we have the biochemical testing in order to identify which specific species the bacterial culture, the microorganism is in the culture. After the biochemical testing, we can go for serologic testing in order to further classify it by its serotypes, such as the E. coli, which has many significant serotypes, such as the E. coli 0157H7 or other E. coli such as the UPEC or the urethral pathogenic, uroerythral pathogenic Escherichia coli. So after the serological testing, we proceed to the susceptibility testing to test if the certain microorganism is susceptible or resistant to a antimicrobial agent. So in the problem before, we have encountered the terms urine, other terms that has been described by Miss Batadlan. And we all know that in urine, we have these certain battery tests in urinalysis in order to classify if the patient is suffering from a bacterial infection or other types of diseases. So, a proper urine specimen should be a midstream clean catch specimen. In the urinalysis, it was shown that the patient shows a markedly increase or there is a presence of blood in the urine, which is a sign of bleeding or glomerulonephritis. Another one is that the patient shows um, uh, +1 in leukocyte esterase test and nitrite test. So these two tests are used in combination in order to identify if there is a bacterial infection in the urinary system. So we have the general identification here first. It was shown that in the culture media or in the urine specimen, we have isolated a gram stain showing a gram-negative bacilli. So one tip, you can know that the bacteria is a bacilli because there is a there is a visible orientation of the bacteria, not unlike the cocci or the spear-shaped bacteria. It appears disoriented or non-oriented. It doesn't point to any direction. So if it is a bacilli, you can see its orientation if it's lying down or it's in a sideways. That's just a tip in order to identify if it's a bacilli or a cocci. And after that, the specimen was then plated in a blood agar. So it was shown that the sheep blood agar had a colony which is non-hemolytic, gray-yellow mucoid bacterial colonies, non-hemolytic or gamma hemolysis. So next. Oh my God. And here we have the MacConkey agar growing mucoid lactose fermenting pink bacterial colonies. So MacConkey agar is used to um MacConkey agar is commonly used to isolate enteric pathogens such as E. coli or other types of bacteria. So if it is a suspected bacteria that came from the enteric area, it is the most commonly used medium is MacConkey agar or the Hectoen enteric agar. So from this morphology, we have the gram-negative bacilli and a non-hemolytic gray-yellow mucoid bacterial colonies. These are characteristics of the family Enterobacteriaceae. So if it is a suspected Enterobacteriaceae, we have first we have to first plate the culture the microorganism in a Maconchi agar or a hectoenteric agar, and then we have the biochemical tests. So just some additional stuff. Maconchi agar is a general use again for Enterobacteriaceae, and if it shows pink, that means it ferments lactose, and if it shows yellow, it doesn't ferment lactose. So since the bacteria is growing here and it shows pink colonies, it means it is a lactose fermenter. So for the biochemical test, we first have the oxidase test. Oxidase test is used to determine if the bacteria produces cytochrome oxidase. So cytochrome oxidase is the last electron acceptor in the electron transport chain, mostly in bacteria and archaea. So here, the pathogen is oxidase negative. And then we proceed to the IMBC reaction, or the indole methyl red Voges Roscower and citrate test. So the bacteria showed to be indole positive. So what does it mean if it's indole positive? The bacteria that shows an indole positive reaction means that it produces indole by the breakdown of tryptophan by the enzyme tryptophanase. So it is shown to be indole positive. It was also shown to be Voges Proskauer positive. And next we have the urease test. The urease test is used to differentiate urease positive Proteus from other Enterobacteriaceae, but this is not only limited to Proteus. Other Enterobacteriaceae also produces urease, and we must also keep in mind that in the um, colonies, it doesn't show any swarming motility, which is a marker of a Proteus colony. And if it shows urease positive, then therefore it produces urease. And then we have the lysine positive and ornithine positive, which can be both identified using the decarboxylase test. So decarboxylase test means, excuse me. So the decarboxylase test is used in order to identify if the bacteria decarboxylizes other proteins such as lysine or ornithine. And then lastly, we have the malonate test to test the ability if the bacteria is able to utilize malonate as its sole source of carbon and energy. So it is shown that the bacteria that we have isolated is malonate negative, and therefore it cannot utilize malonate as its sole source of carbon and energy. So we proceed to the identification. Miss Pacquiao.
Hello, ako na. Marinig
Opo.
ako, hello?
As.
So, for the results or the initial results, for the macroscopic examination, click please. Next, click. Hello? Hello, hello?
Yan na po, I think.
So, for the initial results, it shows Klebsiella, Enterobacter, and Rotella. And for the spectrometry results, it shows Rotella, the same as the macroscopic. And for the blood culture and biochemical, it shows Klebsiella oxytocca. So for further um, explanation, next.
So, in summary, our patient had a urinary tract infection caused by Rotella and Klebsiella, which was the source of the patient's sepsis. Only the Klebsiella was detected in his bloodstream. Rotella and Klebsiella are both gram-negative, oxidase negative, non-motile, capsulated, facultative, anaerobic bacilli. Within the Enterobacteriaceae family, members of the Rotella genus include R. electrica, R. terrigena, R. R. planticola, and R. ornithinolitica, and are found in the environment, specifically in plants, soil, and water. Rotella species are rare in human disease but have been documented to cause bacteremia, urinary tract infection, conjunctivitis, and cholecystitis. Lastly, Klebsiella causes human disease much more frequently than Rotella. Klebsiella are part of human oropharynx and gastrointestinal flora that act as opportunistic pathogens. Mode of transmission may occur endogenously or through person to person. Hence, nosocomial infections are common. Klebsiella oxytocca and Klebsiella pneumoniae are the most frequently implicated species in human disease and may cause a wide spectrum of infections such as urinary tract infections, respiratory infections, enteritis, meningitis, and bacteremia. Next.
So that is all. Thank you for listening, and I hope you have learned so much from our case finding report. And thank you for watching, guys. Please subscribe to our channel. Sure.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Annyeong.